For the record, I have too many accessories, which is why I carry a bag with me all the time. I have to.
You never know what you might need.
I
You
have too
might
many
need
accessories.
you might need a plastic grenade.
I may.
Never
I'm gonna start
know.
carrying one.
Or a little brown throwing star. That who
Yeah.
knows?
Hello, Tom.
Dana, what's going on?
Not much. Just hanging around. I finished my drink though, and now I am drinkless. But other than that, I'm ready to go forward with two guys talking toys.
So important question. What were you drinking?
A chai latte.
Aha! Oh, that's new. That's different. It's different from what I'm having, which is my usual standby of it's in it's in a Wendy's cup, but it is coffee.
Wow, that's confusing.
I mean, Wendy's does serve coffee. It's just that's not
Do
what's
they? I
what we're
had no
drinking
idea.
in that cup. It's in their breakfast menu. It's not the best.
I wouldn't have ventured to think that perhaps Wendy's had the best
Yeah,
breakfast coffee, but
Wendy's should probably stay out of the coffee arena. They have so many other things, so many other great things to offer.
I like the way you phrase that. Good job. Way to go with the positive and not just be like Wendy's coffee sucks.
Yep. Otherwise, I might be one lonely beastie IB.
Yes,
What
that's
I like the shirt. What is that from? Is that a quote from something I'm familiar
from the
with?
BC Boys. It's
Oh, it is. Oh, I
yeah. Right.
I should have seen that coming.
You need to read it rhythmically. It's one lonely beastie IB. Right?
I like it a lot. So what have you been up to, and what have you been getting?
I
Getting
have been
stuff?
up to a lot of work.
That's no
Couple
fun.
of late nights this week, but that's okay because when I come home, the Nemesis Enforcer is waiting for me.
Oh, he looks great.
Yes, he is well sculpted, well designed. He's big. He's not tall as I want him to
Mhm.
be, but he's big.
Yeah,
He's
he's a
a
big looking guy. How do you
yeah,
like?
he's
I know that there's been some uh, variation of opinion about the wings because they've kind of reinterpreted them from what they originally looked like in the cartoon.
yes, the wings attached to this doohickey that goes on like a backpack.
Yeah.
And you see these bone wing shoulder pads, I guess
Hmm.
here. These
Like his,
yeah, like a bat. They're
yeah.
very bat-like,
Hmm.
where we always picture them being bug-like,
Yeah.
you know. But he even the original wings were very bat-like, which made no sense because they were all bugs. But
Yeah.
um they're very bat-like, and these prevent now there's a ball joint in here you can
Hmm.
see, but these prevent you from bringing the wings up higher. Like I would like them to come
Oh,
up over his shoulders and
yeah.
then arch down. So they kind of look a little weird to me. Like I would want them to come out here and
Yeah.
then arc, but they don't. And I thought that weird too. I was a little I'm not going to use the word disappointed, but I was like,
It's
they could
it's
have done that
different.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a different thing. I've seen people posting galleries of him, and I think it was Dan Larson from Secret Galaxy that had posted him with the wings from the gargoyles. I don't know how
Oh.
well those would plug in, or if it was just like a modded
It
fix, or they
had to be
glued
because
them
there's
in or
only
whatever.
one
But
hole. Like this has
oh, okay.
only one hole.
Oh,
It's
so the
a
wings, so the wings can't pop out of the backpack
um
individually.
I'm sure if I wanted to, I could, but I don't want to. Because they came together. Like you didn't have to
Okay,
assemble this. It came
okay.
together. Yeah.
But
But other than that, other than, I just wish his wings came out a little higher.
yeah.
Other than that, this is a beautiful figure. You can't get a good look at his eyes, but they are both beautiful and frightening at the same time. They're like
Yeah, the pictures you sent, like the close-ups, I do like that. It looks like one is slightly more open than the other one, so it's like he's just barely
kind
contained.
of giving you that look like, you know
He's
what? I'm gonna
he's
whoop up on you and not
he's
even
seen
feel
some things.
anything about it.
He
Yeah,
he has done some things. He's
and
not
wants to
afraid
do
to do 'em again.
more. That's
Yep.
the frightening thing. Like one eye is looking backwards, like I've seen some things, man, and then the other eye is telling you, but they're not going to be as bad as what I'm going to do to you. That's
I'm preparing to see some new things.
Yeah, like the inside of your abdomen. But he's very well done. I've been looking forward to this forever, and
Yeah,
I'm not disappointed. I like that the wings are sort of, you probably can't see, they're translucent.
I was getting ready to ask if they're slightly translucent.
Yeah,
It comes across in the video. You can kind of see your hand behind them.
yeah, and they're very well done for that
Hmm.
leathery bat look.
Yeah, of
You know, and they did the obligatory tear that everybody has in their bat wings. I don't know why.
course.
I've handled bats and I've never seen one with a tear in their wings, so who knows?
They're a lot. I imagine they're a lot less violent than the Nemesis Enforcer.
Right. Well, he probably stabbed it on accident by one of these. Like it lines up pretty well.
Oh yeah, if you're swinging away, if he's swinging away at Sergeant Slaughter, he can't get a hit in. He's getting frustrated. He might
Yeah.
not
Right after the
do it.
suplex.
So,
Right.
this is a great. I love that this is the first figure we're getting towards Cobra La. I hope that they keep this up. I hope that they're.
Oh, they will. They have to.
Well, I hope that they're not gonna try and like limit Cobra La to being exclusives. Because
Oh, well, since he was a Hasbro.
yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that they have plans to kind of regularly release these, maybe even if it's like just alongside the main line.
Mhm.
I did see. I don't know. I should have bookmarked it and I forgot. I did see what may have been possible leaks of the soldiers,
Oh,
the
those
Cobra
red
La
and
soldiers.
gray. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they that looked kind of cool. So I'm hoping maybe that's the next step in this, and
That would be cool.
more people trying to get me to troop build things when I shouldn't be troop building things.
So for summary from last week to this week, wings done wrong, wings done right.
Oh, sorry, Raptor. You need more bat in those wings,
That's right.
or more full-on actual fleshy wings.
So what have you gotten this week that we need to hear about? I
So
think
I've
Nemesis should join the crew tonight, like Hey did.
yeah, let him hang out. I would be, I think it would be fine if this was your thing. Your whatever it was you got just hangs out for the rest of the
It just
show.
hangs out. Yeah.
I have gotten more things in the mail. So I really do just need to go through a whole bunch of these because I've got tons. What I'm excited to eventually get were the those 4 horsemen reveals of their snake warriors,
Yes, those look
because
great.
I've been successfully resisting and not getting into I kind of backed off on Mythic Legions. I kind of stayed away from the space line and gotten only like the 4-armed characters. The dragon character from that looks really cool, but
Right.
for the most part, it's been kind of hands off. I do want that. See all the Mythic. I apologize to the Mythic Legion enthusiasts. Whatever
What's
the
the names
newest
again? Yeah.
line, the newest, or at the time it was new. When we went to Legion's Con, which I think was that last year or year before.
It wasn't the last one, which
'Cause
was
I know.
just a couple of months ago or weeks ago.
Okay, yeah.
It was last year. Yeah.
Okay, because the 2024 one is happening this weekend.
Right.
I remember that amazing looking skeleton wave that they introduced that had the again troop builders, the really cool multi-armed skeleton character. I wanted those, but I knew it'd be a while before we got those. But seeing the snake characters, I really want them. I plan on getting them, but I'm glad to know that those are kind of a ways off, along with that giant dragon that they
The
introduced.
dragon is fantastic. I mean, that all of them are great. Even the Lion King thing, but yeah, I
Yeah,
doubt I will get
King
any of them, but
Lion
they're fantastic. Yeah.
that I hope eventually gets repainted into like a more Scar-like color scheme. That'd be awesome. So in hand that I like grabbed from the store, or whatever, I got nothing. But I do have more stuff that came in the mail that I can actually open.
Do it.
It's always kind of funny because when I get these, enough time goes by where they're sitting around where I genuinely don't know what's in it. So when I look at them, like this one's from customer service Hasbro Pulse. I don't know what it is. I don't remember what I ordered from them. I know there's a bunch of stuff that
Probably Nemesis Enforcer.
it'd be great if it was Nemesis Enforcer. Let's find out.
But I just showed Nemesis.
I know it's just we're gonna double the fun. watch mine. Watch mine is like a random black and red repaint because I'm obsessed with those, and Emily knows this and decides to send this specifically to me because she probably watches the show and is a huge fan.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
She's the one who got our views up so much last week, and
Absolutely.
and then thank you to new subscribers. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for watching the show and subscribing to the show and telling all your friends about the show. That was a fun boost. Okay, so this is not Nemesis Enforcer. This
all of my friends are on the show. I don't know.
That's all you need. This is the comic version of Grimlock.
I love the box art. Looks like the Herculoids.
It's so good. It looks like the Herculoids, and it's a throwback to the Marvel Comics cover that they did.
Yeah,
where they first appeared like this. Oh, let's get that out of there. So we got comic accurate Grimlock. Oh, that is really cool.
That is pretty cool.
Part of the reason I got this is one because I love the comic versions of Grimlock, and I love the way that he was portrayed in the comics more so than he was in the show. But I also didn't get this. I mean, this is the Studio Series 86 version of Grimlock. So that's the mold that they used for this. When they first introduced the Dinobots into the Studio Series line, they started off with Grimlock, and I got one, but I wasn't really interested in them because the Masterpiece Grimlock is phenomenal, and it's still phenomenal, and it holds up. The only problem is because they've done Studio Series Grimlock, they've done all the other Dinobots in Studio Series. So like that, it's a small change. It's a slight tweak from the Masterpiece look, but they're all kind of in the same aesthetic. So it made more sense. Yeah, getting them now, like getting the Studio Series Grimlock is ridiculous on the aftermarket. So I kind of regret not getting him now, but now I at least have the mold and he looks great. So I'm hoping that this leads to Hasbro getting a little bit busy again with their Select series, because I haven't seen anything from the Select line in a while.
Really?
Yeah,
did they give it up for another line, or
no? It just kind of petered out, which is a shame because I loved that as like a companion line. Like if you saw something on the store shelf, it was almost guaranteed. If you could think of like a slightly obscure repaint or maybe like a BotCon variation, we were probably going to get it in Select, and we haven't been seeing that as much. Like we've gotten some Shattered Glass stuff, and but recently, not a whole lot. They were going all in with like Diaclone throwbacks, and I feel like it's really kind of petered out, which is a shame because give me more repaints. I hope that this leads to the more Marvel Comics colored versions of the Dinobots. Like give me that version of Swoop.
Yeah, I don't know why they would do just one. I would imagine.
Yeah, it's kind of a waste. I want them to bring it back to do more. So all right, so I'm gonna do two today.
All right,
to show off more stuff. Again, like looking at the where this is coming from. This one is coming from the returns department. National Entertainment Collect. I don't know what that is.
I've never heard of it.
I don't know what it is. I don't know who they are. I don't know what I ordered.
Right. While you open that, I'm going to run and get a can of water.
Oh, enjoy. And everyone who is watching and listening, enjoy as I tear into this packaging and see what this is. I guess this is both like a pro and a con to ordering as much stuff as I do, or like if you find deals and you have to order it. So even if it wasn't something that you were really, really looking for, the deal was so good that you had to get it. Or when pre-orders drop, and then they're on the way. You pre-ordered it months ago. You just get the notification from the company, whatever's on the way, and that's great. And then you just stop thinking about it. So I don't know if that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that surprise. I have myself some sparkling peach Bellini water.
Oh, that sounds.
Peach Bellini sounds like the name of a Bond femme fatale.
It does sound kind of.
It's a refreshing sound.
Oh, it didn't come through. That's right. We'll all guess. Oh, okay. So this is.
All right. Let's see it.
Speaking of things that I ordered and forgot about, so this is the NECA
Oh, neat.
concept Ninja Turtles with a really cool lenticular. See, this is both cool and bad because I'm not gonna want to throw this away.
No, you're not gonna want to open that box. It's like the cereal dudes.
It
So it does it flap
Yeah.
open? Do we get to see them?
Let's see. I think it does. It does slide open. Man, I remember when I remember ordering these. I don't remember when I actually got this.
I do.
So
I
this is,
remember you telling me a couple of weeks ago because you got the white ones,
yes,
and I just saw them in Walmart.
which is
And
fun.
then you were telling me like a week later that you got the green ones.
Yeah. So the white repaints are right behind me,
Hmm.
and now I've got the color ones, and it's really tough to not like it. It really is just the price that's keeping me from loading up on these because you need four. You need four of these, and if it since it's the red bandana versions of the Ninja Turtles, you really do need four of each one.
Hmm.
So this just means that I need three more sets of this because you can't have two of like one of each type of Ninja Turtle. You need all four. But then I also have to get them in the classic comic black and white. Oh man, but these are fantastic.
It almost sounds like there's an intervention coming your way.
Man, there really should be because I'm not responsible. But these are excellent. Like kudos to NECA for really being on the ball with these. These are fantastic, and I love that they've nailed the comic look. I know that other companies are kind of trying. Like McFarlane is really starting to try to get into that arena too, but NECA really they've got it nailed down. And these look.
NECA has always done that well. That and the animated look. It's their real life looking stuff that they struggle with. But comic or animated, they've got that spot down.
It was interesting watching them get to this point because I remember when they first started kind of cranking out the Ninja Turtle stuff, but they were doing the video game versions of them, so they had the kind of the pixelated mock shadowing on them, which was kind of cool, but it was also a little bit weird. But they were still learning, so that was
that shadowing's weird. You know, while we're talking about toys of different styles and different ilks and different things, and I had conversation last week about Mr. Raptor's wings and spoke a lot about Mr. Enforcer's wings today. I want to talk today about like accessories and those extra things that toy companies do to make their toys more appealing. And I know this is one of those topics, and there are many that you and I don't know if we're going to disagree or agree on this, but I'd like to talk about accessories.
That sounds good. I'm on board.
Okay, so I remember like I remember when I was young being really excited about accessories. And then later on, really hating when a figure came with a bunch of accessories.
Yeah, you know what? I think because originally it was kind of bare bones. Like say just for example, He-Man. The original He-Man, they had their idea for what they wanted. So like I remember being confused by the battle axe because he doesn't use one.
He-Man was the first one I got PO'd about.
Oh really?
I
was annoyed. I just didn't know what it was for, so that was one of the first ones. I gave it to someone else. But the actual power sword, that was a accessory that you needed. So it was kind of cool that he had it, and then you saw it on screen. You're like, okay, hey, I got the sword. This is what he needs. And then you get guys like Terror Claw Skeletor. You know exactly what he should have, and he's got the claws. The Dragon Blast pack thing was always kind of weird, but I was like, it's a dragon skeleton
that
thing.
Was the first one I remember getting really ridiculous.
The weird, strange looking club that came with Clawful didn't you're okay with that? I was weird. I
know I wasn't. See, here's the thing. Like when I was thinking way back, right? When I was young, that Star Wars era. So then you got like Buck Rogers had really nothing. And then Star Wars came and everybody would have a gun. Like very rarely anybody had more than one thing, right?
Hmm.
And most times they had nothing. And even the lightsabers at that time came out of their arm in that weird
Oh yeah, yeah.
sliding. So Ben and Luke and Darth Vader had the lightsaber that came out of their arm,
Hmm.
right? And then Leia had this, and Han had this tiny, tiny little pistol that he didn't hold very well because he had the one hand, right? And
Hmm.
you Lee had the weird karate chop, the original, and the gun hand, and and then Greedo had just his gun. Chewbacca had that weird rifle, but his hands were weird, so it had a like a wrist clip, and he
Oh yeah.
never able to really hold it. Um, and so most of them came with one gun. The first one I remember coming with more than one thing was Yoda.
Oh.
Yoda came, he had the robe, like he had a cloth robe. He
Hmm.
had the walking stick and
Hmm.
a snake.
Oh, that's right. He did come with a snake.
Yeah, it looked like
Later,
a
like the
corn
original
snake.
line.
Yeah. Uh, and so he came with, but it wasn't okay because everything fit on his person,
Yeah.
right? And that was sort of the formula. And then He-Man came along,
Hmm.
and he had the sword, the shield, and the axe.
Yeah.
And you could put, if he was using the axe, he could put the sword in his back
Hmm.
thing. It didn't even have a thing. You just slid it into the back,
Yeah.
which was annoying because then your power sword was bent. It would bend because his back was so buff, unless you put it straight down. But even then, it was too wide, so your sword would get. So he had too many things. Like as a kid playing, I'm like, no, what am I supposed to do with this axe
Oh yeah.
when he's
Just finally.
holding the sword? And it was like this, like you said, you gave it away. I was like, okay, he needs the sword, so axe. Right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm looking at my collection, and I have literally three 30-gallon Rubbermaid bins
Hmm.
with accessories,
Yeah.
heads, hands, all of this stuff that I have now meticulously bagged and labeled, and I'm never going to touch it again.
It is kind of the bane of the collector when accessories start kind of getting out of hand. Because once you have it displayed, and that's kind of it. Like you're gonna, that's where they are. They're posed doing XYZ. Everything else they came with, and then like you said, like as the years went by, companies started just kind of adding more and more. Like if you saw them with it on screen for more than a second and a half, they were getting that. Like I
Right.
appreciate the classifieds handles their weaponry. Like the weaponry looks
They
great.
come with a lot of stuff, but
I will
everything
never
goes
use.
on their person
Yeah, I will never
except
use
for
any
him.
of it, and they're in baggies. And then you get companies that get kind of carried away with it. Like I love Super Seven, but man, do they get carried away
Oh,
with some of the
Lord.
accessories? The
You could you
multiple
could
sets
you
of
could take the
hands,
accessories,
the multiple
melt
heads,
down the plastic, and make a second figure to come with it.
which I would rather have. Which and I kind of appreciate that they're tweaking their model. So those Target releases, like the Lion-O and the Monkey-In, they have it's Lion-O's, the Sword of Omens, and does he come with the?
The
I don't remember.
gauntlet.
I don't remember if he comes with the gauntlet or not. But
Mhm.
yeah, like
I was
that's
just looking at it too, and I can't recall.
yeah, that's kind of all I need. But going back to the original line in the 80s, it was very, for the most part, bare bones. Like one or two extra
Mhm.
accessories at that time, I it didn't concern me because one, my attention span wasn't that big, and I only took what I needed. And I was like, okay, well, so and so just needs this, or they would share, or that weapon's going to wind up in the box with the rest of with the rest of the
A
guys, and I'm
box,
never going
yeah.
to think about it. And if I needed something new, or someone came with something that I didn't think was a good accessory for them, you could swap it out. But I always loved when they would make it a point to have a character specific accessory, and they came with that, because if they didn't, it was almost a crushing blow. Like all
Yeah.
the sectors had very specific weaponry that they were shown with in the comic, in the show, and even in like their pictures on the back, like solicits in the back, where they had whatever specific weapon that was their thing, and then they would come with it, and you kit them out, and that was perfect. But they were
Mhm.
also really awesome because, like you said with He-Man, where you could shove the sword in the back, but you also had to worry about the warping. The sectors had uh, their strapping. You could put
They had loops. They had loops, yeah.
and it was specific to the weapons they had. Like Pinchor had that giant axe, but he also had a clip on the back, so you could set up the axe on his back. He could hold
Mhm.
his shield, and his venom gun went into like a little holster. So if he just wanted to walk around hands free, he could do that. You could also store the shield on the back as well, on top of the axe, which was great.
Hmm. I
But
loved when we had Star Wars in the Forge, like they had those Raiders of the Lost Ark, the original ones were made by the same company that did like the Lone Ranger figure and
mhm,
Zorro. They did those and Cowboys, but they had holsters. They had very little six shooters, right? They were tiny, tiny, but they had holsters they could go, and some of them had a quick draw action where they could take it out of the
yeah,
holster, which was neat.
mhm,
But I was so excited by that when I was a kid because the Star Wars guys either had to hold the gun or you had to put it somewhere.
yeah,
Luckily, though, Star Wars is a kind of
mhm.
storyline, so you don't they didn't do a lot of fist fighting in Star Wars, right? But the Lone Ranger guys, when I remember being so excited that their guns went into their holsters, it was so
Mhm.
exciting. And then, well, I do want to talk about GI Joe because it was the first one. Even when we were younger, they they did a good job. Like it came more. So when we went from Star Wars to GI Joe, Star Wars had one gun, they'd hold it, right? And then GI
Mhm.
Joe, now they came with removable helmets.
Mhm.
Some of them had visors on the helmets,
Yes.
backpacks, and a variety of guns. But they always managed to, like, you got three or four things. But again, just like they do now, the classifieds, everything kind of stayed on their person because they had
Yeah.
the backpack went on, the helmet went on, the visor clipped on, the gun
Mhm.
went in the hand, and you could obviously take them off and do things, but they managed to get more accessories and in leave them playable.
Yeah. I always liked when accessories kind of tied the line together. Say, for example, Visionaries.
Yes.
When everyone had a staff. Everyone had a staff that had a hologram on it, but the actual hologram would be different depending on what their bonded creature was. And I honestly don't remember if they came with anything else. But even if they did, I wouldn't have used it because this was what I was used to seeing, and this is
I'm
what I
trying to think.
got,
I think
and
they
that
only
was
came with the
part.
thing and maybe a
Yeah,
shield,
that
maybe
was
a
really all
shield,
they
or
needed.
the thing came off the
Hmm.
post and became a shield. I think maybe.
Yeah,
I think that's what happened.
I I don't know at what point toy creators started deciding that people needed more options for their figures.
I do.
Really? When?
Yes. The 90s.
I think it was before. I think
Really?
slightly before, only
Oh,
because
more
of what.
options meaning like heads and hands and stuff?
No, like I guess just things that they can interact with, and I say that
Oh,
because
He-Man did a lot of that.
yeah, I because they had the weapon packs.
Yep.
If you like, I guess I don't know if they just presumed that kids were losing accessories, what they
G.I. Joe
absolutely
did that
were.
too, which was cool.
Did they? I
Mhm.
remember Ninja Turtles doing that when that line first came, because the original Ninja Turtles came with, they had their signature weapons, but they
Mhm.
also came with uh the throwing stars. They came with I don't remember the name of the weapons. It's like a kind of a hook ish weapon. There were the handheld blades, and was there something else? There may have been one or two other things, but they came with that. They were almost on like a little rack that you had to pry them off of,
Right, yeah.
and they were kind of cool. Like I didn't mind them because they made for extra cool play, and they were like, well, they're ninjas, so they've got the
Right.
ninja stars, whatever. So you're gonna lose those right after you throw them, but it was kind of cool to have them.
Yeah.
But then
Oh, yeah, the little ninja stars with the hole in the middle,
yeah,
like they would clip onto
yep,
the rack, right? Yeah.
yeah. And I know I was using the hook weapons wrong, but I was like, this is the perfect way for them to just slide down ropes.
Yep.
So I'm gonna use them for this.
Especially the original turtles, and they could hold two of them
Yes,
and hook them and slide down perfectly.
and then and like you said, being able to store everything on your person was such a big deal
Right.
that even the Ninja Turtles line acknowledged it when they introduced the storage shell figures. When
Oh,
they're like,
yes.
we give you a lot of stuff. Now just open them up and they're a tiny little suitcase and you can stuff all their stuff in there and then
Right.
close it up. And it was such a cool gimmick, but it was also a great way to re-release, get you to buy all four again. And
Yep.
that was the version. Aside from the swimming Donatello that I had that I liked, but it just wasn't the best Donatello. I
Right.
got
I
the
like that the swimming
yeah,
Donatello comes up often. You've spoken about him 4 or 5 times.
yeah,
I can tell there's a place in your heart for him.
he was the, because I wasn't able to get the original Donatello. I was always looking for like that good stand-in
Yep.
for the original, and I just wasn't able to get him until the storage shell version came out. But those
Mhm.
storage shell turtles were pissed.
Oh,
They,
yeah.
they had like the super snarl, like the Dragon Ball Z
Oh, yeah, they were
version of the
angry.
sneer. So that was the version of Donatello that I had, which was funny because he was angrier than Raphael
Right,
all the
which
time.
shouldn't happen, shouldn't happen. I remember being so excited, speaking about, like, old toys, when the, Storm Shadow came out, the first one, and
Mhm.
his swords went into his backpack. I was
Oh,
like,
that is a cool feature.
"This is amazing!" And I think that was the first time you ever really saw that. Or, Roadblock had that big the original Roadblock had that big, long
Mhm.
machine gun, and
Uh-huh.
it had a tripod that came with it that hooked, but all of the stuff could hook onto his backpack. And it was just the coolest thing. That and it, he and Storm Shadow came out. It's almost like that. Once they went to the swivel arm action and the figures
Mhm.
became a little more detailed, they did all of those cool those
Mhm.
switches. I do want to talk about some of the sillier things that accessories turned into. Uh,
Mhm.
Toy Biz was guilty of a lot of
Oh
silly
man.
things with, werewolf claws being hooked on the
Yeah,
arms and that monster mask
the
thing
tail end of a lot of the Marvel lines were getting just wild. Like the what was it? The web warriors.
with the water stuff.
Yes, where you got just a rando raft that wasn't based on anything. Some of the most interesting Venom based characters or creature things came from that kind of weirdness. The because his like his water based thing. There's a really cool looking uh three-headed Venom Hydra that came as
Yeah.
part of the water line. I remember having the one that looked like almost a Venom Stingray that he came with. Uh,
Yep.
I yeah, it was such a weird line. It was such a strange way to the point where the accessory is almost a full-on other figure. The I
Like
forgot
the
the
little dragon that came with, I think Magic had a dragon and a
yes.
Shadow Cat. I don't know. But yeah, those little critters were always cool.
I forgot the name of the line. It was like web snare or web trap something with Spider-Man. And I think it was I don't remember if it was the Carnage or the Venom for that line came with a little spider creature, but that was its own full separate figure. It had an
Right.
action feature. It had really good sculpting, especially for the time. They were still kind of playing around with how well they could match Spider-Man to anything. But these were 100% new generated creature character things. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is more entertaining than the original toy that I bought.
Remember that little silver gray spider turkey baster that came with Venom that had
Oh
the
yeah.
slime in it that
Yeah.
you could
Things like that
I
were
would open that up, take the little black cork out, and I'd squeeze it a little, and the stuff would come right up to the edge, and I'm like, "Nope."
it was
Nope.
it was just gross enough you'd be like, like
Yep.
gross yourself out. And it's black goo, so it
Right. I
was
was like, "Nope."
weird. Things like that, I think actually enhance the play with those kinds of figures because yeah, you could take that silver Venom thing and it could be alive. We don't know
Mhm.
how symbiotes work exactly, especially at that point. Right? Did it just possess this pile of metal? Why wouldn't it? That's
Right.
fine. This is now Venom's companion. This is now Venom's insectoid, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. There are cool I don't hate all accessories, some of them are cool, but, like, grenades.
Mhm.
I don't need grenades. Like,
Yeah.
who did I recently get? Oh, the Toxic Avenger came with the
Mhm.
little grenades. I don't need those. What do I need a grenade for that doesn't hook on anything or hang around?
I guess it comes down to a question of how many people do you want to please with the accessories that you're offering? Especially now, I know a lot. This is probably a tricky formula for a lot of current companies because you have toy photography is now a legitimate thing,
Yes,
and you always
which
had
I'm hoping to get more into.
yeah, you would always have people send even before it became a thing. You were always snapping a shot of your figures and sending it to your buddies, like look
Right,
what I
yeah.
got, or uh, setting them up and like doing fun stuff or weird things, or even before when we just had Instamatics, whatever.
Yeah, or
It,
trying, stop motion movies or something,
yeah,
yeah.
doing stop motion stuff where you'd have things set up in a certain way. So I totally get like the I would never have any use for just a lone grenade, but I know that now that they're making so many different types of effects parts with the explosions and the
Right.
flames are a huge thing. Uh, I think it's kind of cool that we're now getting I guess it's not.
Yeah, just that the gun flare and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
I
like
think it's neat, but for the most part, I don't need it.
not stuff that I really need. Like even the sword slash. Like say the Joy Toy Ninja Turtles, who are fantastic. Holy cow! Get me away from this line because I'm not going to stop. They're amazing. Uh, these effect parts, they
Yeah, those are cool.
yeah. So like they're I thought they slid on. They don't. They're actually just two completely different swords that you can get.
Oh, because like the
So
War
he
Duke
has,
from Dungeons and Dragons, that
yeah.
flame
So,
slides
so
on, which is awesome.
yeah. So Leo has like a regular sword, but then he also has one that looks like it's in motion. And I love that this has now become almost a perfected art. Because I remember a
Yeah.
few companies trying something similar, and it just wasn't working out. But now we're there, and we're getting them. But I like when it's more of a like a great option to have. Uh,
Mhm.
and again, I guess it goes back to where do these go? Well, in this case, in the case of Joy Toy with the Ninja Turtles, you can have Leonardo holding the effect swords, but his regular swords just store in the back. So even though it might look weird if you stare at it for too long, but him just swinging his swords around looks awesome, and you don't even notice
It does look cool, yeah.
that they're hanging out in the back part here as well. But yeah, these are, man, run out and get you a set of the Joy Toy Ninja Turtles. I hope they. I wasn't looking to get into the 4-inch Ninja Turtles line, but these fit in great with the Fortnite stuff. If you've got larger figures or characters that you want to have hulking over them, they work great for that. They're. Let me not review the
I feel like
turtles,
the
but
4-inch Ninja Turtles might be maybe they're a little bit too small, but
mhm.
they look pretty hefty.
Yeah, they're
That
they're
maybe they would fit in
they're very solid.
appropriately with a small 6-inch line.
Mhm.
The 4-inch turtles could fit in with, you know?
and they're and the Ninja Turtles by nature are such a wacky franchise. You can toss them into anything. So if you want to do the
Right.
Incredible Shrinking Turtles, that's your set to fit in with your maybe like your Super 7 line or the NECA line. You're like, oh yeah, there they go. Look at them run.
You know, I think I when it comes to accessories, I like the ones that reflect the character,
Yes,
like that are essential to what that character is, you know?
yeah,
Um, I don't like them when they just become a gimmick,
hmm
right? I like take $5 off the top of the cost and don't give me any of that. None of it. I don't need 12 sets of hands. I don't need 3 heads, especially
yeah,
when they look exactly the same like the new Eternia does. But don't give me any of that. Scratch $5 off the top and
mhm.
just give me the figure and I'll be happy with it.
That is kind of where I'm at. If I have, especially if it's a character that I already know about, and it's just it's the base gimmick. Like give me Lino with the Sword of Omens and the Gauntlet. That's all I
Right.
need. I appreciate multiple heads. Like where are you at with multiple heads? Sometimes I do like an additional head. I don't need an additional 4 heads. I don't. I don't think. I don't. I don't. I'm never gonna need someone to make that many expressions. So like maybe 2
Right.
heads is perfectly
Right,
fine.
because once I find what I like and I put the figure
Mhm.
together and I put it on display, I'm not taking it down and putting another face on it or putting
Yeah,
another head on it, right? Um,
because certain
I feel like just sculpt the character and leave it. I don't need an extra head. Like I honestly don't. I don't need Batman and then with Bruce Wayne's head. I don't
Mhm.
need Batman with a battle damaged cowl. I just sculpt me Batman and I'll buy it. And then if you sculpt me a battle damaged Batman, I'll buy that too, but you don't have to give me 2 heads. Because then what's going to happen? People like you, Tom, who are like, oh, well, I like both heads. So now I have to buy both figures. So I have
Yep.
to buy the figure
That's
twice so I can display both heads, right?
that is where I'm at. That's where I'm at with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. That's where I'm at with on occasion Transformers is pretty interesting with their accessories. Uh, I guess in that there are very specific weapons. They kind of do what you were asking for, especially in the cartoons. That certain characters would have very specific weapons that they used, and then that would come with the figure. Like Starscream had his null rays, and That's what he came with, and that has become like his personalized weapon. Jazz had a very specific type of gun, so in every subsequent offering of him, he has that. Optimus Prime's cannon is iconic, and there's
Yes.
always some version of that he comes with. he might have one or two other things, but normally, he may come with Roller, but that's also he was also Roller was also in the cartoon. He was also
Yep.
in the trail. Oh, how do you feel about kind of like, I guess, like the larger accessories? I know we kind of touched on those with the Marvel stuff, but with Transformers, you got things like Prime's trailer, and it's
Right.
really it's just a box
But
with
that's
wheels.
part of his character.
Yes, no one really knew what went on in there, so it's interesting to see the
Well,
different
originally it had
interpretations
the
of
cannon
what.
that popped up,
Yes,
like,
so it was kind of
and
like
the
the mobile base.
yeah.
I know that there are later versions of it where it's almost like a repair bay. You do need Roller because that's the staple. Um, but I think it's interesting that, sometimes he comes with it, sometimes he doesn't. And if he does come with it now, you are going to pay for it. So I wonder, are there some
Yeah, and it wasn't
you'd
any
rather
part of
not?
the movie.
Hmm?
The movies had I mean, you never saw his trailer.
In the, I think you did in the Bay movies or in the cartoon.
The Bay movies.
I believe he had it in the Bay movies, but yeah, it would just kind of disappear.
Mhm.
They would randomly give you a trailer. I think it's some of the toy lines, but I didn't pay a lot of attention to the movie lines because I have opinions on those. But like you said,
Everybody has the same opinion about those.
yeah, I mean the accessories that came with those were very much of the movie aesthetic, so I can't even really, I guess, like speak to those because they they
Right.
they did match the aesthetic. They kind of matched who they came
Right.
with.
I
That
can't
was
imagine how kids played with those, like young kids who were introduced to the Transformers through those movies, and the fight scenes were such a disaster. I wish I could witness a young kid who was seeing them for the first time in the movies and then watching them fight, and they probably just pushed them together like this and then just twirled them in the air, and that's
that's
that's how
that
they fought.
seems about right. That's about where they're at. So I like when I was getting back to the way that accessories are kind of stylized within a certain line. I'm thinking of Battle Beasts, where if you
Right.
just even if you ignore their connection to Transformers, they all came with handheld melee weapons. Every
Yes.
single one of them had some sort of melee weapon. I think there was one, like, and I always like that they were.
Which makes sense. They were beasts who were going to battle, right?
Yes, that was kind of all you needed. I liked when they would kind of have fun with it, like the tuxedo bulldog, Bullorn, as uh, he came with just a cane. That was
Right.
his that was his accessory, and I always thought that was super funny and super cool, and it made perfect sense because he had tuxedo armor.
Right.
Um, but I also like that you can use that as a jump off point for the next wave of that toy line. Like Battle Beasts all had handheld swords, spears, and whatnot. Laser Beasts, because they were kind of the next generation of Battle Beasts, they had a different kind of story. They all came with guns. They all had stylized animal guns, which I thought
Yep.
was really cool because they were supposed to be the more technologically advanced threat to the Battle Beast. So it made sense for them to have different types of weapons that were just a little bit more uh, like otherworldly, or the next evolution of weaponry to fight the Battle Beast. And they came with the little mini chariots, which was cool because the beast had the pull back handheld chariots.
Mhm.
Uh, so I like when accessories slash weapons evolve with the toy line to give you a different kind of play, because then your play pattern changes. If
Right.
if you've just got Battle Beasts and they're clanging swords and whatever, but now you've introduced guns, and that's a whole other dynamic. So your play would actually change to accommodate that.
Right. And thank God for Star Wars that taught us that you can just deflect lasers who theoretically move at the speed of light with a handheld melee weapon. So that's pretty cool.
As long as that melee weapon is also made of light, that's why I could deflect it.
Yeah. Oh, we've seen it also, Wolverine, Wonder Woman,
Oh yeah, that's true.
Black. So
That is
all
true.
good. Gun, knife, fair fight. There is such a and you and I could probably have the same debate with articulation. We I really don't I have really I do feel like almost a sense of frustration when I open up a new figure and all this crap pours out. And I'm like, no, I don't want it. I mean, how many baggies of Batman hands do I own? I don't know, but there are a lot of them. There are a lot, and a lot of them, especially the McFarlane stuff, it's the same hands. It's the same 6 hands over and over and over and over again.
It's up there with
And I have them in black and blue and purple.
It's up there with the Spider-Man hands. I think
Yes.
of all the characters in Marvel, Spider-Man is probably one that will come with
Yeah.
the largest assortment of hands. Like I have baggies and baggies just filled with him
This.
doing the web thing. There's the open palm thing. There's the you need your fist, and then
Right.
there's like slightly open because he might be holding something, maybe a hot dog or a cup. But yeah, he comes. But without fail, anytime they've released a Spider-Man that does not come with 10 hands, somebody will complain that the one pair of hands they wanted didn't come with that Spider-Man, which then prompts another release.
Another release with a thumbs up.
That comes with 60 hands.
Deadpool has the same curse. He's got the gun hands. He's got this thing. He's got the chimichanga hand and the thumbs up.
Yeah,
and then you have like the Amazing Yamaguchi where they have the different eyes.
Yes.
Like different, and I'm like, I nearly went into like a short circuit meltdown when I opened up my Amazing Yamaguchi guys, and I'm like, what is happening? I don't want to assemble my figure when I buy it. I'll buy a model if I want that.
I think this is why I appreciate when whenever they get a chance, if a toy producer can include some way to avoid having to give us extra stuff. For example, the Toka and Razar set that NECA did based on the movie. Right. That version of Toka could it would have made perfect sense if they both came with 2 heads, both like the regular head or maybe like a surprised face or a happy face versus a mean face. Instead, NECA figured out how to sculpt Toka's eyebrow so that you could have him in the kind of like angry look that he would have randomly, but also they made the eyebrows movable so you could twist the brows and have him look excited or sad or confused. And it's just a simple swivel on his face. But it's such a clever way
cool.
that was.
I wasn't aware of that. That is fantastic.
It's really neat. It's such a cool little feature. Now, granted, like you're not going to be able to get Spider-Man's eyes to do the wince or the size.
Right. Yeah.
But when you can work something like that into a toy, that's awesome, and I love to see it. I like when accessories are clever, and by that I mean, let's say the April O'Neil from the Ninja Turtles He-Man crossover. Her hammer also doubles as a camcorder. So the play feature is, sure, she could smash people with it, but also she can record what's going on.
Very durable lens.
Yeah, it might be made of Eternium or whatever kind of indestructible glass type substances on Eternia. But like, I love when they do cool things like that. When you have an accessory that can flip around and maybe become like multiple things, or you can combine them into one thing. That's really cool. I know a lot of third parties, a lot of third-party sets that were making Transformer accessories were doing that. And I have a couple of different sets where they were making. It was a lot of blades, a lot of different types of sword blades, and you could connect them and combine them. But then you could also pull them apart, and it came with an interlocking staff. So you could take the swords, you could create larger swords, you could then attach them to the staff, you can make a spear, you can make all kinds of really cool looking like mace style weapons. I like when there's that extra bit of thought put into them, so that then you can improve your gameplay, or you can have it opens different types of ways you can display your figures. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's fun. You know what they should do? They should all just do the hands like that horrible initial Marvel Legends thing offering with the bendy jazz hands.
You know, if they could ever have gotten that joint in the hand to lock into place, I think that would have been the perfect solution to. Yeah, I know people love having like the gun hands and the sword hands, whatever, but if you just had like maybe a slightly bent hand and you got those joints to work so that you could actually hold on to what you're putting in that hand. it would be
I hate when they
perfect.
overcomplicate a simple accessory. I'm thinking about, for instance, the Marvel Legends Deathlock, the
Mhm.
first offering, when
Oh, that
the
plugged in.
cord wasn't quite long enough. It was
Mhm,
like an eighth of an inch too short, and then his hand had so many joints, like you said, it
mhm.
couldn't get locked. So they put a peg
Yes.
into the hand, but then once the gun went in the peg, it wasn't in
Mhm.
the right place for
Yeah.
the hands to get in. Nightmare. It's a nightmare. Simplest accessory ever.
There was not enough
Totally
friction.
botched. Totally botched.
There was not enough friction
Somebody
to keep the peg in
overthought that.
there.
Really overthought it. And instead they're like, oh, this doesn't work. Well, let's make it work. Let's put it back. Instead of just aborting, just abort. Just mold the hand where the gun goes in. They could
Look,
do it.
we need Deathlock, and we need them on shelves now. So you got
Yeah.
to make this work somehow.
My deathlock was literally posed like this with his gun dangling.
You got
That's how
me.
that's how I don't know.
You got me, soldier. It's a shame when like I know that we've been griping about having too many accessories. You know what the other kind of crime is when there is not the right accessory included, or if
Right.
there's no
I'm never
accessory
gonna say
included.
they didn't give enough. And I'm never gonna say that.
Oh,
But
I will, but only in the case of the DC Universe version of Necron. He was the build a figure for a wave. It was awesome. He looks cool. He's a great sculpt. But the
yeah,
solicits for that showed him with that really cool Black Lantern side.
yeah.
And we've had explanations. I think Toy Guru at some point explained how they just ran out of money. They literally could not afford to include that with them, and there was no one else that you could really pack it with. So
Right.
they just didn't come with it. But kind of a crime because that's his weapon, and him not coming with it was awful. The McFarlane one fixes that. The DC Direct version of Necron comes with it, but he's little, so it wasn't quite the same. But I remember
Mhm.
that being a big deal. But if that's really all I need, though. If it's their signature weapon, if it's something that you're used to seeing them with, that's kind of all I need. The only exception to that was again, but back to Ninja Turtles, was Slash. And I say that because I didn't know anything about him. Like, the first time I saw him was in that commercial.
Mhm.
And when I got
From
him,
Dimension X.
when, when
This is the first time you've mentioned that commercial and not gone into reciting it.
oh, you mean Slash. And I'm going to do it wrong because that's not what he says.
Right.
But I always remember Slash, the evil Ninja Turtle from Dimension X.
There
And
it is.
that's not what he says, but that's always how I'm going to remember it. But I always remember uh, getting him, and his accessories were an evil version of the nunchuck, the crooked sai, the
Right.
mace that was an abomination of
I
Donatello.
like that side that
And I
had that sharp turn
yeah,
in the middle. Yeah.
and I love that in the Archie comics they turned that into a sword. So instead of it just being a little like it kind of looks like he did the Looney Tunes thing where he bonked it into a wall and it crinkled and it
So it
crumpled
could
up.
go around the corner.
Yeah, but the Archie comics turned that into a sword, and that I thought was awesome because
Mhm.
it was a nice way to combine both Leonardo and Raphael's weapon and make it into
Mhm.
something scary. But I like getting those accessories with him because that made me come up with a story for him that he either encountered them or this is just a thing that turtles do or this is just whoever trained him maybe gave him these weapons. Is he their long lost brother? Like it may have been the first time that accessories got me to really like tap into a creative story about a character when there's no real explanation for it than
Right.
other than he's an evil Ninja Turtle. So yes, he has other evil Ninja Turtle weapons.
Right. You are correct. There are some accessories that make you develop a character. For
Mm-hmm.
instance, well, we spoke last week about Raptor, the GI Joe guy, the original
Mm-hmm.
one, who just looked like a lunatic. Uh, so I kind of made that his character, that he was
Yeah.
kind of an effect. So sometimes you're right. It'll come up with something that sort of defines the character
Mm-hmm.
for who they are. Yeah.
So I think we're nearing the end of our accessories discussion. So,
Correctamundo,
so I have to leave off with a question.
of course.
What is your favorite accessory?
Oh.
We
Um,
know it's not Raptor.
it's not Raptor, not the new
Not
one
current,
anyway.
not current
The
Raptor.
old one was one of my favorites. It was one of my favorites. I do like um Oh God, all I can think of are the things I hate, like McFarlane's that Batman statue with the segmented cape that you built. You know, the Halloween one
Oh
where he's in
yeah,
this.
yep.
Oh God, awful, God awful. Um, I do like when they offer you something that's not really an accessory, but it's cool to have. So if you're going to spend money and give me something extra with a figure, like the new animated series guys that come with the animation cell.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so if you're going to give me something extra, don't give me 15 hands. I don't want them. But something that adds to my display in a simple way,
Hmm.
and is cool and is fun like this, like
Hmm.
that's an extra I'd want to have.
Hmm.
So this is up there, but I do like when you can get okay, so I'll say I don't know if this is an accessory or not. So if it's not, you cannot give me credit for the answer to my question. But
Are you cheating?
I'm cheating.
Yes.
Yes, I get to cheat. It's not an accessory, but it's an addendum to an accessory. The
Mhm.
wired capes.
Oh yes.
I
You
love
gotta think those.
those.
They're
Oh,
they're a great.
yes.
It's a great evolution of the accessory because for the longest time,
Yeah.
like I said, we would have it's tough to do capes.
Mhm.
So you would have first the solid cape, and then
With
McFarlane
a
started
clip around the neck, like
yeah,
the original Superpowers guys. Yeah.
and then McFarlane started playing around with it with Spawn, where he had this like the
A
bendy
plastic
segmented
hinge.
that would
It was
just break
like
off because that's the
a
nature of
wardrobe.
yeah. And then you got you got just a big flap of plastic with wire that was trying. I'm thinking of the Doctor Strange
Doctor
tape
Strange. I
that
was just
came with
ready to say that.
Marvel
Yeah.
Legends, where instead it
It
just
was
was
like
kind of
it was a teepee.
yeah, it was just a cone, so he was safe from the elements inside there. If you ever needed to go camping, Doctor Strange was fine. But yeah,
Like the vet put it on him.
going from that to actual cloth and then lining it with wire. And I remember customizers kind of doing this before uh, toy producers figured it out. And
Yeah.
now that's almost one of the first questions that people ask when they see a character that's coming out with a cape. Is the cape wired? Because if it's
Yeah.
not, then it's almost, you know, like you get the finger wag. Well, now it's
Mhm.
kind of what we expect because that is a really cool accessory to have.
Just go to Walmart, get a can of starch.
Yep, just spray it up,
Make it happen. Yeah.
set it in the one pose you want to keep it in because it's not going to move after that.
Yeah.
Uh, my favorite accessory comes from Transformers, and it was the Target Masters. Like
Hmm.
the whole like master style line where it was like the headmasters, I thought were super duper cool because I'm the head, but I'm also a little guy that can jump out and run away when when
Right.
my body takes too much damage.
Kind of creepy
Uh,
though.
but like Target Masters specifically because you couldn't if you're a Target Master and you don't like who you're paired with, it's a fun dynamic, a funny, potentially deadly dynamic. Because there were episodes where someone wasn't getting along with their Target Master, and their Target Master jumped out of their hand and then threatened to shoot them, which I thought was fantastic and just a great dynamic. But when they came with the figure, you got it was both your gun, but also a little Transformer man that you could run off and have adventures with if that's what you felt like doing. And
Yeah.
the Japanese series Master Force and Headmasters really leaned into that. And then they started kind of playing around with it a little bit more in Transformers Armada when they had the mini cons. So you had the
Right.
little smaller Transformer figures, but also you could just grab them up and stick them on your forearm, and now you had a gun. One of my favorite one of the Transformer comics that came out in the early 2000s was Dreamwave, which turned out to be garbage run by I forgot his name. Was it Pat Lee? I think it was Pat Lee, who was trashed. But one of the greatest moments in that is when Megatron shows up and he has his mini con. In that comic series, the mini cons were enslaved by the Decepticons, and he just grabs a mini con who says, "Please, no!" and he transforms him against his will and just slaps him onto his wrist for power. It was both sad but also very funny.
I find
yeah,
that a lot of sad things end up being funny when you really look at them.
those are my favorite types of accessories. Little guys that become guns and heads for larger guys.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, I guess that puts a wrap on it.
That wraps everything up. So listeners and watchers, thank you for listening and watching to another episode of Two Guys Talking Toys. Let us know what your favorite accessories are, or what your least favorite accessories are. You can get a hold of us on the Twitter machine at Two Guys Talking Toys. That is the number 2, no G after the talking. Same thing for Gmail. I'm gonna look into getting us a Blue Sky account because Twitter has kind of been going that way for a while. Get a hold of us. Let us know. Thank you for watching. Tell your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Like to the channel. Take care, everybody.